They didn't miss my graduation because of an emergency or a flat tire. They missed it because the Super Bowl party at Uncle Rick's was, in their words, unmissable. I stood in my cap and gown, phone in hand, reading the text that said they'd catch the highlights later, as if my 4 years could be condensed into a 30-second clip. But that wasn't the moment that changed everything. That came 3 hours after the ceremony when they showed up at my apartment with champagne they didn't help me celebrate and a request that made my blood run cold. Before I tell you what they asked for, tell me, where are you watching from? And if you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Graduation morning in Chicago felt like moving through a dream where everyone else had the script except me. The kind of dream where you're running, but your legs won't move fast enough. I woke up at 6, even though the ceremony wasn't until 10. My studio apartment smelled like the lavender candle I'd burned down to nothing the night before, trying to calm nerves that wouldn't settle. I'd laid out my gown the night before, pressed and perfect, hanging on the back of my door like a promise. For years of late shifts at the campus bookstore, tutoring freshmen who barely looked up from their phones, and surviving on instant ramen and determination had led to this single day. And somewhere deep down, I still believed my parents would show up. My phone buzzed at 7:15. My roommate Jade texted first. On my way to get you. Your parents meeting us there? I stared at the message, thumb hovering over the keyboard. I didn't know how to answer because I didn't know myself. I typed back, think so, with a smiley face that felt like a lie. 20 minutes later, another text. This one from my mother. Milan, honey, Rick's Super Bowl party is today. We completely forgot when we said we'd come. Can't miss it, the whole family's going. We'll celebrate with you tomorrow. Promise. I read it 3 times. Each time, the words rearranged themselves into different shapes, but the meaning stayed the same. A football game mattered more than me. I sat on the edge of my bed, cap in hand, feeling something crack open inside my chest. Not anger yet. Just a hollow, echoing quiet. My father's text came next. Your mom explained. You understand, right? This only happens once a year. So does graduation, I thought. But I didn't type it. I just sent back a thumbs up emoji because that's what I always did. Made things easy. Made things smooth. Made myself smaller so no one had to feel uncomfortable. Jade arrived with coffee and a bright smile that dimmed the second she saw my face. They're not coming, are they? She said quietly. It wasn't a question. I shook my head, and she pulled me into a hug that smelled like cinnamon and fabric softener. We stood there for a long moment, her arms the only thing holding me together. The auditorium was massive, rows of red velvet seats stretching up toward a ceiling painted with gold trim. Families clustered everywhere, straightening gowns, taking photos, laughing in that nervous, excited way people do before big moments. Someone's dad fumbled with a bouquet of sunflowers. A little boy in a suit too big for him waved a homemade sign that read, "Congrats, sis." Jade stayed close, but I could feel her family's eyes on me. Her mom asked once, gently, where my parents were sitting. Traffic, I lied. The word tasted bitter. Her mom frowned like she didn't quite believe me but was too kind to push. I found my seat in the graduate section, tucked between people I barely knew. The girl next to me, Simone, had a whole row of relatives. She pointed them out one by one, beaming. That's my grandma. She took a bus for 6 hours to be here. I smiled and nodded, feeling that hollow space in my chest widen. When the ceremony began, the dean's voice echoed across the hall, warm and congratulatory. Names rolled by in steady waves. Families erupted with applause, whistles, someone's aunt screamed so loud the microphone crackled. I watched each graduate walk across the stage, watched them clasp hands with the dean, watched them turn and smile at the sea of people who'd shown up for them. I checked my phone during a lull between colleges. Nothing. No, we're almost there. No stuck in traffic, nothing. Just a notification from my mom's Instagram story. I opened it without thinking, and there they were. My parents, my younger brother Caleb, all crowded onto Uncle Rick's sectional couch. My dad wore a jersey I'd never seen before. My mom held a plate piled with wings. Caleb was mid-laugh, face smeared with nacho cheese. The caption read, Game day with the fam. Go team. My vision blurred. Not from tears. From something sharper. They weren't stuck. They weren't delayed. They were exactly where they wanted to be. And I wasn't part of that picture. My name was called 20 minutes later. Milan Reese. I stood, legs shaking, and walked toward the stage. The applause was polite, distant, meant for someone whose people were watching. But my people were watching a football game. I shook the dean's hand. He smiled, said something I didn't hear. I took my diploma, turned, and faced an audience full of strangers. Jade stood in the family section, clapping wildly, holding up her phone to record. It was the kindest thing anyone had ever done for me, and it nearly broke me right there on that stage. After the ceremony, I walked out into the cold February air. My gown flapped around my ankles. Jade and her family took photos with me, insisted I smile, told me I looked beautiful. I held the diploma against my chest like a shield, nodding, pretending I was fine. When they left, I stood alone in the parking lot. The sky was a flat, gray sheet. My phone buzzed. My mom. Can we come by later? Want to see you. I didn't respond. I just drove back to my apartment, parked in my usual spot, and sat in the silence of my car for 20 minutes before going inside. The apartment felt too quiet. I dropped my gown on the couch, set the diploma on the kitchen counter, and stared at it. For years of sacrifice, discipline, doubt, late nights and early mornings. For years of convincing myself it would matter, that they would show up when it counted. I made tea I didn't drink and sat by the window, watching people pass on the street below. Couples holding hands. A dad carrying a toddler on his shoulders. Lives that looked warm, complete, easy. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from my dad. We're coming over around 6. That okay? I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to tell them not to come, to stay at their party, to leave me alone. But another part, the part that still hoped, still wanted, typed back. Okay. They arrived at 6:15. I heard them before I saw them, my mom's laugh echoing up the stairwell. When I opened the door, they stood there holding a bottle of champagne and a grocery store cake with "Congrats grad" written in blue frosting. My mom hugged me, smelling like barbecue smoke and beer. You look good, sweetie. How was it? Fine, I said. It was fine. My dad patted my shoulder. Proud of you, kid. He said it the way someone says, nice weather, without really thinking about it. Caleb was on his phone, thumbs moving fast, not looking up. They came inside, and my mom set the cake on the counter next to my diploma. She glanced at it briefly, then turned to the champagne. Let's toast, she said brightly. I watched them move through my tiny apartment like tourists, touching things lightly, not really seeing. My dad opened the champagne with a loud pop. My mom grabbed mismatched mugs from my cabinet because I didn't own proper glasses. She poured, and we stood in a loose circle, awkward and unfamiliar. To Milan, my dad said, raising his mug. And to, what's next for you? I didn't answer. I just sipped the cheap champagne that tasted like regret. My mom sat on my couch, kicking off her shoes. So listen, honey, we wanted to talk to you about something. My stomach dropped. I knew that tone. The one she used when she was about to ask for something. Your dad and I have been thinking. You're graduated now. You've got that fancy degree. You'll be making good money soon, right? I don't have a job yet, I said carefully. She waved a hand. But you will. You're smart. Responsible. And, well, we've hit a bit of a rough patch. The thing is, we need to borrow some money. Just until we get back on our feet. The room tilted. Borrow money. From me. The daughter they couldn't bother to show up for. How much? I asked, voice flat. My dad cleared his throat. 5,000. Maybe a little more. We'll pay you back, obviously. $5,000. I made $11 an hour at the bookstore. My savings account had $900 in it, money I'd scraped together for first and last month's rent when my lease ended. Money I needed to survive. I don't have $5,000, I said slowly. My mom leaned forward. But you could get it, right? A loan or... I don't know, maybe ask your financial aid office. You're good at figuring things out. Something inside me snapped. Not loudly. Not violently. Just a clean, quiet break. I set my mug down on the counter, and the sound echoed louder than it should have. You want me to take out a loan, I said carefully, so I can give you money. After you skipped my graduation to watch football. My mom blinked. Milan, don't be dramatic. We explained. It was the Super Bowl. It was my graduation. My dad sighed. Look, we're family. Family helps each other. Family shows up, I said. My voice was steady now, clear. Family doesn't post Instagram stories from a party while their daughter walks across a stage alone. The silence that followed was thick, suffocating. My mom's face shifted through confusion, hurt, defensiveness. We said we were sorry. No, I said. You didn't. You said you'd celebrate tomorrow. You said it was unmissable. You said I'd understand. But you never once said you were sorry. Caleb finally looked up from his phone, eyes wide. My dad opened his mouth, but I kept going. Do you know what it felt like, standing in that auditorium, watching everyone else's families cheer for them? Do you know what it felt like to lie when people asked where you were? I wanted to disappear. And the worst part is, I kept checking my phone. I kept hoping you'd change your mind. That maybe, just this once, I'd matter more than a game. My mom stood, hands twisting together. Milan, we love you. You know that. Do I? Because love shows up. Love doesn't ask for $5,000 3 hours after breaking your heart. The air between us crackled. My dad rubbed his face. We didn't think it was that big of a deal. It's just a ceremony. It wasn't just a ceremony, I said quietly. It was 4 years of my life. For years you barely noticed. That's not fair, my mom said, voice rising. We supported you. You paid for part of my tuition, I corrected. That's not the same as supporting me. Supporting me would have been showing up when I was stressed. Asking how my classes were going. Remembering I existed outside of when you needed something. The words hung there, sharp and true. My dad looked at the floor. My mom's eyes shimmered, but I didn't soften. I was done softening. I think you should leave, I said. Milan, my mom started, but I shook my head. I need you to leave. Now. They hesitated, exchanging glances, but eventually, they moved toward the door. My mom paused, hand on the doorknob. We'll call you tomorrow. We can talk when you're calmer. I'm not going to be calmer tomorrow, I said. I'm going to be clearer. They left. The door clicked shut. And for the first time all day, I could breathe. The apartment felt different after they left. Lighter, somehow. I sat on the couch, staring at the half-empty bottle of champagne, the untouched cake. My diploma still rested on the counter, and I walked over to it, running my fingers along the embossed letters of my name. Milan Reese. Bachelor of Arts. It was real. I'd done it. Not because of them. In spite of them. I picked up my phone and opened a new note. I started typing, not a message to them, but a list. A list of every time I'd made myself smaller. Every time I'd swallowed my disappointment. Every time I'd said it's okay when it wasn't. The list was longer than I expected. That night, I didn't sleep much. But when I did, I dreamed of stages and spotlights and walking toward something that was mine. No one else's. Just mine. The next week, my mom called. I didn't answer. She called again. And again. On the 4th call, I picked up. Milan, thank God. We need to talk about this. You can't just shut us out. I can, I said. And I am. She started to argue, but I cut her off. You asked me for $5,000 the same day you chose a football game over me. Do you understand how that felt? She was quiet for a long moment. We didn't mean to hurt you. But you did. And you're not even sorry. You're just upset I said no. Another silence. Then, softly, what do you want from us? I want you to see me, I said. Not as someone who can fix your problems. Not as the responsible one. Just me. I don't know if we can give you that, she admitted, and the honesty of it broke something and healed something at the same time. Then I don't know if I can keep doing this, I said. We hung up. And I felt the weight of years lift off my shoulders. 3 months later, I started a new job. Nothing glamorous, just an entry-level position at a marketing firm. But it was mine. I moved into a new apartment, this one with better light. I hung my diploma on the wall, right above my desk, where I could see it every morning. Jade visited often. We cooked together, watched bad movies, talked about futures that felt possible now. She asked once if I regretted what I said to my parents. No, I told her. I regret not saying it sooner. I didn't hear from my parents for a while. My dad sent a birthday card that year, signed with both their names, but only his handwriting. It said, "We miss you. Hope you're doing well." I didn't respond. Not out of cruelty, but out of protection. I'd spent so long trying to earn their attention that I forgot I didn't need it to survive. One evening, as the city lights flickered on outside my window, I sat at my desk and opened my laptop. I started writing. Not for them. For me. About what it means to walk away from people who love you, but not enough. About choosing yourself when no one else will. And somewhere in the middle of that essay, I realized I'd already graduated from more than college. I'd graduated from the need to shrink. From the hope that they'd change. From the belief that love was supposed to hurt this much. I was free. And that freedom tasted better than any champagne ever could. If this story resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to choose yourself over family expectations? Let me know. And hit subscribe so you don't miss the next story where courage meets truth.